everyone and good afternoon. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Thanks for joining us today. And our topic for today is super interesting po talaga. And actually, medyo nakakatakot. And our topic po is chubby. Chubby ba kayo? Kung kayo po ay chubby, you have a high COVID death rate. So help me, doktora. So nakaka-nervous lahat naman tayo, we are worried about our weight. So let's discuss po kung totoo po itong balita that young people are dying because they are overweight. What's the relationship po of weight and mortality po from COVID? Mortality means the risk of dying. And ano po ang dapat nating gawin regarding this issue kung totoo nga po. And I'm here to tell you, unfortunately, totoo po yun. So my name po is Dr. Ana York Bondok. Our program po is called Libreng Konsulta. And we provide po live streaming, Facebook Live po ng mga interesting health topics. You are very welcome po to put your COVID questions below, your non-COVID questions below. At babasahin po natin lahat yan later on after we give a short talk. So, please follow us, like and share po sa mga kilala nyo po. Kung overweight po si Daddy, kung overweight po si Kuya, please i-share nyo na po ito at i-watch party. Kasi kailangan po nilang malaman ito. And then, please follow us, as I said, and we now have a YouTube channel which is called Dr. Ana York Bondo. So, ako po, I am a pulmonary and critical care specialist. I am a psychologist po by training. I'm a 3-term congressman, the wife of a mayor, kaya po sanay din po ako sa Barangay Matters, and the mother po of a 7-year-old child. At nandito po ako sa San Juan, San Luis, Pampanga. So nakikita niyo po yung aming background, that's where we are today. So sige, let's start na po. And our topic again is chubby, high COVID death rate, help. So the letter that we got is, Dear Doktora, aminin na po natin, mataba ako. And after this pandemic, mas lalong naging grabe po yung sitwasyon. Probably because of stress and being locked down in a small condo. Bata pa naman ako, doktora. But lately, kinabahan ako kasi I read that young people are dying of COVID. Akala ko po mga matatanda lang. And I am not in shape. So please advise me and help me, doktora. Okay. Our question is for today is, totoo po ba that obesity, being overweight, can increase your risk of death for COVID? And I'm sorry to tell you that the answer is a big yes. Yes na yes. Pwede, mas lalo po kayong delikado po na magkaroon po ng serious COVID, get into the ICU, matubo po, or what we call intubated. Ang meaning po nun is to breathe through a machine, and there is a big possibility of dying. Okay? Kahit anong edad ka pa, and huwag niyo pong sasabihin sa akin na bata pa po kayo, once you are overweight and you get COVID, talaga pong malaki po yung chance nyo. Okay? So, pag-usapan po muna natin what are the issues involved here. Number 1 is the weight. Okay? Ano ba weight nyo? Well, how do we calculate po if you are overweight? Hindi naman ho sa tingin lang. Kasi some people actually magaling magtago ng taba, no? But when you weigh them, magugulat po kayo. So, sa mga doktor po, we use the body mass index po to calculate if a person is overweight or not. Ngayon po, what's the body mass index at bakit hindi na lang weight? Kasi po, it also factors in your height. So, kasama po doon, tinitingnan po nila actually your mass. So, how do you measure this? It's complicated po, but madali na lang po ngayon dahil lahat nasa internet. Marami pong what we call BMI or body mass index calculators on the internet. So, lalagay niyo po yung height and weight. Pwede pong by kilograms or pounds or centimeters naman yung height at saka inches. So, below, pag lumabas po yung number na below 25, okay pa po kayo. 25 to 30 po ang lumabas, overweight. 30 to 39, obese. And 40 and above po, morbidly obese. So, para makuha nyo po, no? It's hard to conceptualize. So, ito na lang. Average height po ng Pilipino, guys, is 5'7". Okay? Let's say you're 5'7" in height, you weigh 160 pounds, kayo po ay classified overweight. Okay? Bigat, ano? Overweight. So, yung pa lang ho, overweight na kayo. Kumain pa kayo ng konti, umabot kayo ng 170, 180, ang labas mo dito, obese. Okay? So, if you're 5'7", pagdating na po sa 160 pounds, hindi na po maganda yung ating sitwasyon. So, totoo po. So, that is the facts of obesity. There are certain countries po na mas mataas ang obesity rate. Like, nabanggit po dun sa study, sa US po, 42% of adults are overweight and 9% po of adults are morbidly obese. So, ang meaning po nito, yung kanilang body mass index sa US is over the 25. That's the overweight category. At yung sobrang obese or what we call morbidly obese po, 9%. So, ang laki, no? Almost 50% in the US of adults are overweight. Sa Pilipinas, I'm praying that that's not the case kasi masama po yun. And of course, when you are overweight, kasama na po doon ang diabetes, hypertension, cardiac disease, arthritis, at lahat na po ng tinatawag po nating lifestyle and chronic diseases. Kasama na po yon with your being overweight or sobrang taba po. Okay? So, yun po yung facts about being overweight. So, facts about COVID naman and being overweight. So, this is a new article po that came out in the New York Times. Actually, last April, na-discuss ko na po yung obesity. And the obesity was coming out po of studies from China and Europe. Doon pa lang po, lumalabas na po that being obese was already a major risk factor po for young persons. But lately po, sa 42% nga sa US ang overweight, that the data from the US and the UK has come out po. And that's thousands of patients, and it really supports po yung initial data. Kasi konti lang ho yung China, tsaka not so many people kasi in China are overweight. So ngayon ho, yung mga countries na maraming overweight, tiningnan na po nila yung kanilang data, and it has recently come out. So ito po yun, this is the statement. Obesity is an independent risk factor for men for COVID mortality. So himayin po natin yung independent risk factor at saka po yung men. Bakit men? Okay? So, baka naman sabihin nyo, doktora, baka naman ho, high blood na nga sila, then cardiac disease, ganon. So, tinamaan ng COVID, diretsong patay. Well, that we will discuss po yung independent risk factor. Okay? So, this is coming out po from a study done in Kaiser in Southern California, where almost 7,000 po patients were followed. Kaiser is one of the largest insurers po in the US and particularly po in California. Si Dr. June used to work for Kaiser and a lot of my friends work for Kaiser. So they studied po lahat ng patients nila and nilalam po nila, no, the word independent risk factor. What does that mean? Hiniwalay po nila yung effects ng hypertension. And statistically, hiniwalay po yung hypertensive, yung race, yung age, cardiac, diabetes. They pulled it out of the data. And even if you are only one factor, and that is being obese, kahit wala ka ng hypertension, diabetes, basta obese, okay, mas mataas po talaga yung risk yung mamatay ng COVID. So that's the meaning po ng independent. So we cannot blame it on being hypertensive, being diabetic. Basta mataba, period. Okay? Another issue that came out was yung men. Men po, not women, men. So bakit po, no? So it leads us to think, bakit po women, men versus women, bakit po men ang tinamaan? Ang theory po, no, nobody really knows, but ang theory po is that women have a different weight distribution than males. At yung males po, usually abdominal din yung fats nila and visceral sa loob. So, yun po yung reason talaga for men's being one of the risk factors po for death. So, obesity plus male equals serious COVID. Another thing that was very interesting po was age. Ano po? Kasi po baka naman sabihin nyo, matanda na ho sila. That's why they died, ano? But actually, no. Because in young persons, kasi hinwalay po yung mga tao into young and old. So for the old persons po, the highest comorbidity was age. And pinapakita po na age, if you, it's a huge UK study naman po, no? If you are greater than 80 years old, you are 20 times more likely to die than a 50-year-old. And you are 100 times more likely to die below 40 years old. Age po talaga. But if you're not 80, if you're younger than 60, the number one reason po talaga na nakita nila was obesity. So not hypertension, not cardiac disease, it was really obesity. So how do we interpret this? Obesity plus young age plus male equals serious COVID po. So, pag-usapan natin why. Baka naman masyak kayo, Doktora, my God, I'm so young. Hindi lang ho ako, mahilig lang talaga akong kumain. So, does this mean that might have serious COVID? Unfortunately, yes. Talagang yes. So, why no? Kasi po, when you're obese, yung weight po ng inyong chest, it's just yung chest cavity nyo na lang po, napakabigat na po nun. It is so difficult to breathe talaga. And when you're obese, you sometimes from the obesity, you have what we call restrictive lung disease. You cannot ho, hindi nyo ano talaga yung baga nyo because of you're carrying a lot of weight. So if you get pneumonia po and you cannot clear, hindi nyo maubo lahat yung secretions nyo. And then when you breathe restricted, talaga pong grabe po yung pulmonya nyo. Because you cannot clear the mucus and you cannot open your chest po sa bigat eh. And that alone po is a big problem. Number 2 po, and I didn't even know this, I just read this when I read the article. Fat pala is considered biologically active. Akala ko, the term of fat being biologically active is really actually quite scary. So may mga actions pala yung fats po. Fats increase inflammation in the body. And we all know po that a lot of COVID patients die po kasi too much inflammation in their body. Kaya nga po nagbibigay tayo ng steroids para kumalma yung inflammation ng katawan. Because sometimes it's the inflammation that will kill the patient. So fat also, and I think a lot of people who are endocrinologists or have diabetes know this, independently of having diabetes, just being fat gives you metabolic changes na po in your body. The way you process a lot of things changes po when you are obese. So sa Kaiser po, they studied thousands of patients and they came to the conclusion po na along with previous studies po, they came to the conclusion that if your body mass index if extremely obese po, from Columbia naman, in the annals of internal medicine, they found out that extremely obese people have a 60% greater rate of being intubated or to die from COVID. So what's the risk? The risk of dying of COVID is 2% sa Pilipinas. If you're extremely obese, it will be if you're obese, it will be 3 times the rate. So 6% na ho yung rate of dying nyo. And if you're morbidly obese, the rate po becomes 8%. So ang laki from 2%, suddenly you have a 10%, 8% chance, hindi po biro yan. So my advice to persons, please, alagaan nyo po yung health nyo. This is not the time siguro to go on a crash diet, but please, you cannot stay obese. You cannot stay obese, lalo na kung bata kayo. Do something, start moving, and be serious po about your lifestyle changes. Kasi po sa mga panahon ngayon, we don't know how long this COVID is going to last. We will all have to eventually go back to work, go around, di naman ho tayo pwedeng magtago sa bahay. And wala naman hong category pa ang obesity po for stay at home na lang. So the best thing that I can advise young males is to get in shape, diet na po tayo, eat properly, fruits, vegetables, alam niyo na ho yan eh. I don't have to tell you. Fruits, vegetables, stop eating rice and get moving. So yun po yun, it's very simple. As I said, mas malutong po pag sinabi ko sa Tagalog eh. So kung kayo po ay mataba, kayo po ay lalaki, at bata pa, wag niyo pong sabihin talaga sa akin na bata pa ho. malaki po yung chance na may mangyari po sa inyo hindi maganda pag kayo po ay nakapitan ng COVID. So linawagin ko lang ho, male, overweight, COVID, high chance po talaga na may mangyaring hindi ka nais-nais. Or mataas po talaga yung chance na ma-deadball po kayo. Okay? So that's really not a good news. But the good news is we can do something about it. So please, healthy lifestyle, take care of yourselves, and be safe po from COVID. Okay? Magandang hapon po.